Hey, everybody, welcome to the close of year live client chat. I'm your girl, Coach Crystal, and if you are just joining us, first of all, I want to welcome you to our community with the mantra that we not only start our client chats, Wisdom Wednesday with, but every interaction we have with clients. It's our mantra here at Steps and Stages, and it just says that a lot of things happen before this, and I guarantee a lot of things are going to happen after this, but we promise to be here with you now. Please be here with us now. So this is one of my favorite activities, right? Just because I get to see my clients all the time. Maybe you know some of them, maybe you're friends with them, maybe you're wondering, like, is this program for me? What is actually a vision coach, and why in the LL Cool J should I take a step towards my vision? And you can listen to me, but you should probably listen to the people who are doing it. So tonight we have two of our clients here. The one who just recently graduated from our Vision Builder, which is our level one program, and a member of our mastermind. So please help me welcome Io Janine Jackson and Giselle Mason. Hey ladies, how are you?
Good. Good,
Good to
good.
see you. Good to see you. Thanks for being here. Here's first question, right? Everybody always wants to know, first of all, when they're talking to me, what is a vision coach, right? And so also then the next thing is, well, why should I do it? Try to give if you can, our clients or our community a little bit of information about what made you decide. And while we're doing that, we're going to bring Severin on too. Hey, Severin.
Hi.
So, first
Happy
question,
to be
what?
here. Hello, hello.
Happy to have you. We got Philly, Texas, New York. But listen, we're this is amazing. Tell the people why you decided to invest in yourself and do this work specifically.
I can go.
Go for it.
Um, I think Crystal has always been someone in my life who's been very steady, very seemingly to me stable. And I called her one day and we were talking, and I knew she had started to teach coach. And I was quite interested. I had done a coaching before, and it helped me like light years beyond what I thought I could do for myself.
Mhm.
And just that unwrapping and investigation and pulling back of the layers and seeing what's inside each layer was very informative, very beneficial to me. And again, through this course, I was able to do some of that um, much needed, and it's a practice. So it was much needed, but it was also, she somehow allowed for me to pull back those layers. And I'm still uncovering a lot of things that are beneficial and non-beneficial.
Right. Good. Fresh out of Vision Builder. Congratulations, Io. Congratulations. Who's up?
I'll go.
Go for it, Giselle.
Um, so let's see why. Um, I've had the good fortune of doing of following, my dreams and getting to certain moments and plateaus in my life. And it was time to start what's next? What's the next 5, 10, 15 plus years gonna be? What's that gonna look like? And it's almost like the same reason I went to grad school. Like I was ready for some new information. I was like, what is the new information that I can take, knowing that they're going to be seeds that are going to be planted moving forward? I did the Dream Builders in the beginning, and I'm currently in Mastermind. And um, it was also a question of investing in myself, which ironically is the same thing I tell people who are interested in going to grad school. I was like, don't just go to get the piece of paper,
Right.
like go because you are interested in investing in yourself. And that's what this was, because that money is going to go somewhere, but this way it's intentional, and I knew it was going to me and my vision and my journey,
Mhm.
and the desire to have, to check in with myself, like, are the same things that I was doing before helping me now? What are some new approaches, some new ideas, new ways of looking at my current situation, so that I could move forward intentionally, as Crystal will say, by design versus by accident or
Default.
default.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Thank you. Nice work, Severin.
Yeah, I'll pick that up. I think for me, I had started to realize that I was having desires for a direction in terms of career. And I had been expressing that to a friend of mine, Amy Smith, and Amy was like, whoa, I used to think I could like help you out with this, but you know who can actually lend a helping hand? Crystal Brown.
Oh, wow.
She was like, you've got your vision, like, there's something here that needs like more, needs a little bit more care, or needs more guidance. And I know that for me, I had difficulty in making my ideas become reality. And so in order to like help flex those muscles, I got to do it in community.
Yeah. That's a good point, right? Like nobody changes alone. And we believe in creating clarity, confidence in intentional community, right? In people with like desires. That doesn't mean we all want to do the same thing and live the same lives, but it means that people who are investing in themselves to grow further together, right? There's an old African proverb says, you want to go fast, you go alone. If you want to go further, you go together, right? And we're really intentional here about our communities. So ladies, if we're thinking about the hardest part of this process, and that it's hard in different places for different people, and you guys represent 3 different tiers of our community: Vision Builder, Life Mastery, the Mastermind. Tell me a little bit about, when you were like, listen, I'm out. I don't want to do this no more. Everybody has one. Everyone has one of those moments, right? You're like, why did I sign up for this? What am I doing?
Like all the time? No, not, I mean, like right now. Well, we talk a lot about paradigms in this work. And there are moments when, actually we had this conversation just this week in Mastermind, where there were times where I got really busy, or, things weren't going the way that I wanted them to, and what I would fall back on would not be a different decision. It would be the default. And that default was often saying, some little voice was saying, well, you ain't doing the work anyway, so I don't know why you try. Or like, they ain't no way you're going to really make that happen. Like, all the little voices that we have that have been there to protect us in previous iterations. But, the hope is that when the vision is really clear, and actually that's the thing that keeps bringing me back, right? Is that I know that I don't want to keep doing things the way that I've been doing it. And so I want to, then it means like the way I have been doing would be like, it's not working, I'm out. That would be the way that I would do it. Like, it's not going the way, I'm out. So trying to stay with it, staying in community, having partners in believing, the community like that really helps. But it definitely, is part of it. Like, just again, we were talking about the peaks and valleys. And again, it's, I teach, and it's the same thing I tell my students, right? You don't always grow like this, right? It's not always a straight line. I'm like, sometimes there are plateaus, and yet me, myself, I'm like, why do I feel like I'm not doing, so, I'm like, oh, and plateau, and, so I think it's part of the journey. But I think those guide rails and guideposts continue to encourage me to go forward, to do the work, to make a different choice, to challenge some of those old paradigms and ask what really is the best decision for my vision.
Yep. Not for your safety, not for your security, not for the thing you've been doing, your stability, right? Like, but for your vision, right? Yeah, that's a good point, right? And what happens, y'all, for those of you who are out there, welcome to our client chat. For those of you who are just joining us, what happens is that no one starts this program or grows through this program alone. We start in these intentional cohorts where the first thing to do to jumpstart your transformation is to really introduce yourself to a stranger, because they don't have a past to count towards you or against you. It's all in your mind. And as you start to tell them the reasons why you can't, they've been seeing you with your can. And so they're going to remind you of the things you've been doing that represent the person in the vision. So you can't do that alone. You need that reflection. Ayo, you want to say something?
No, I was pointing at you because you're absolutely right. And I was thinking how kind of, I won't say tricky, but how it was kind of given to us in like covered in sugar. Like it was medicine covered in sugar, these courses, because when we get together every week, you would make us introduce ourselves to each other. You would make us tell our narrative of like the top 3 things that we're known for. And so these people only know us by the tip of the iceberg.
Mm-hmm.
And now I'm starting to realize like, wow, what a great like border to like keep us aligned with our vision. Like, oh, only these people know you at your best.
Yeah.
I was gonna say in sentiment with Giselle. Is it Giselle or Gazelle?
Giselle, yeah.
Well, okay. That I started to recognize where I was failing myself in 2 places. One thing I definitely did was I showed up every week for the calls. I was like, "Ooh, girl, I paid too much money not to even. I need to see Crystal's face, or else I need to be at the White House." However, the practice of the writing during the day, I couldn't quite get that, and I see myself doing that in every space, in grad school, here, in my own life for my own projects. And I was like, wait a minute, I don't have to do that. I'm now building a skill set I'm building a courageous skill set that allows me to say, oh, well, you just have to work on this for like 15 minutes a day, and then you'll be finished with one. Or you might even finish that packet sometime in January. It's okay.
Yeah.
But still, that's something I got to notice. And another big one for me is a lot of the practice, it made me want to ask for outside help, support from the universe. Like, I'm not doing this all by myself.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I read somewhere today that something like, maybe because you think that you're in conflict with God, or you think you're in competition with God. Like, oh, I'm gonna write my story here. And I was like, my story, it ain't hitting across the board all the way around. You know what? Maybe I don't need to even. This is the vision. I'm gonna dream it, but I want to dream it in conjunction now. I want to invite something larger than me that I'm also a part of. It's this whole big thing, but I appreciate that aspect of the training.
Yeah. This is good, right? Because we don't rise to the occasion, we rise to the level of our training, right? And the mastermind has been talking about this all year. Like, we don't rise. Some people think that as soon as the adrenaline kicks in, it'll just happen. No, the adrenaline kicks in, and if you haven't ran in 3 years, you're probably gonna catch a Charlie horse and get caught by
Heart attack.
It's okay to have a heart attack. Right. Oh, we got another one on the line. Corliss, welcome.
Hi, how are you? Hi, everybody.
Oh, now we got Jersey, New York, Philly, Texas. I'm just saying, I mean, you can't beat this community. So, Corliss, we were talking about, one, what made you decide to do this work for yourself with this particular community? And 2, what was the point where you were like, listen, I didn't sign up for all this?
Oh boy, good questions, really good questions. I decided to do this work, I think, when I felt stuck. I was going around and around in circles in my own life, thinking about things over and over and over again. I was like, oh, there's got to be a better way. And so I was talking to a colleague, and she had an amazing experience and with Steps and Stages. And she said, you should check it out. No harm in investigating.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of how it started for me. And then the second question, I don't know. Let me think on that one for a minute.
Yeah, no worries. Listen, I will just say it. I've said this publicly before. I was on a one-on-one with Corliss, and we decided that, she said, this is like swimming in the ocean.
Yes.
Like visioning is like swimming in the ocean. And I said, you're probably right, Corliss, because having a plan is like trying to scuba dive in the bathtub. It's just not enough space. It's not enough space. There's not enough mobility. You might have on the right outfit. You might be using all the right elements, but it's not big enough for you to do the thing you really wanted to do.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you for joining us. Severin, did you want to jump in? Oh, did Severin freeze? We're going to come back. So,
sure, received. This is Severin. I think there were 2 points where I wanted to jump out. The first was, I was like, listen, it costs how much money? And then I was like, oh, it is about that investment in myself. And that was a muscle I knew that I hadn't trained yet. I even had someone willing to pay for that. And I was still like, I don't know. Am I worth it? And the answer is always yes.
Always yes. Yeah.
Always yes. And then the second time, I think, brings me back to community, where it was it in Life Mastery, the week that we brought in the energy worker, the hypnotist? Yep. I was like, I already know this stuff. What I got to be here learning the things that I already know. And that's another version of me running into a space of, it's not necessarily authority per se, but it's feeling that I already know all the things alone, and that I wouldn't get anything new out of it, which was incorrect. So that's a paradigm that I had to work with.
Yeah. I mean, that's a huge one for a lot of people who are in our community, right? Intellect is a huge barrier to innovation, right? If we're like, oh, we know that, we can do that, we already have this information. But the thing is that we're talking about this in terms of the vision code: confidence, obedience, design, and execution, right? So you can have all the information you want, but if you don't execute, then it's just sitting there. It's like a low investment. But that's a good one, right? I already know this, right? That's a stopping point for a lot of people. And the money story is also, right? And I'll just be totally candid, very public here. I tell my clients this all the time. I spend as much on my self-development every year as I spend on graduate school on an annual basis, because the learning doesn't stop and the practice only gets deeper. Yeah. So, I forgot to say, anybody out there, if you have a question, drop your questions in the chat. I'm pretty sure we can source some type of solution from all these brilliant minds. So, we got 2 recently graduated vision builders. We have a graduated Life Master, and then we have someone in our top level, the mastermind. Can y'all talk a little bit about what it's like to start in your particular cohort and then grow into the community, right? Because many of you have just got out of your cohort, but you have partners in believing in other places, but how the community supports outside of the kind of times with Crystal.
Well, I can go in talking about the mastermind. So the mastermind meets 1 week with Crystal, and then the next week just with ourselves. And we also connect online via Voxer, so we can communicate with each other. We have our own group. And so what happens is, in addition to having just one partner in believing, you have a whole group of folks who are also asking questions, similar questions, sometimes running up against similar roadblocks. And while we might not all meet every other week or meet without Crystal, like, the questions are still happening, and you know that the folks are still there. And sometimes you might even get on and it might just be you and one other person, but it's a time to go deeper into some of the work, because the reality is that you get a lot in each session. There's a lot of information in each session that you have, and it takes time to actually like dig in and figure out how it lands with you. So that extra time, that extra week is time to, with your other folks, if you've got questions, if y'all are bumping up against the same thing, to try to figure it out. Now, what was great was that I jumped into the mastermind, so it wasn't my initial cohort, but I actually happen to know a lot of folks in there. And I really want to say this too, like when I look at when I think about groups that I want to sign up to be with, the people that I see in this room are the people who I'm interested in being with. Right? Like they are smart, they are often folks of color, they're often women of color, they are often BIPOC, queer, like it's like all of these questions that people are actually doing the work. And a lot of the spaces that I'm in are often primarily white, primarily cis, and it's like to be able to ask these questions in this kind of group is a real gift.
Mhm.
And so jumping into the new mastermind group, I knew some of those folks, but it was also great to be like, I was like, ooh, I got some studying to do, because I was like, oh, these people have already been doing some of the work. And so I got to catch up. I'm like, okay, it's when you like jump ahead of grade, you're like, uh-oh, hold on.
Yeah.
But they were still welcoming, and I still felt like I was a part of the group.
Yeah. So I'll just say one thing, because it kind of piggybacks on what you're saying, Giselle, is that there is content, right, in the curriculum that is deep content that addresses every area of your life. You don't get a report card from me. Nobody's giving you quizzes and tests, right? This is not school. This is personal development. So the way that you grow is to invest the time to do the work. Now, like Ayo said before, sometimes those old hangups from our past of school of like, well, maybe let me just show up and, let me just talk it through. I didn't really do the homework. I didn't really, right? That doesn't affect the room. It affects you, right? So we have a whole thing here where I tell people from the very beginning, I don't care if you didn't finish your homework. If you don't show up, it's not showing up for me, the teacher. You're not showing up for yourself. And we know that your timeline of transformation can't be put on a 12-week or a 6-month or a year schedule. There's work to be done in the background. So we give our clients access to the Vision Zone portal where they can keep looking at their materials in their time. But it's not just a one-off, y'all. This is not a quick fix. We are not here to tell you that in 12 weeks you're going to make more money, get a promotion, live the life of your dreams. Your husband's going to show up around the corner. That's not what we're doing, right? We are talking about transforming the way you think about yourself. And in that same way, we have to build a different type of confidence. Integrity is what most of our clients have because they're top in their field. They've been doing things forever. People around them in their field know them to get it done. But their confidence, their agreements with themselves may be lacking. And so we want to rebuild that confidence so that the clarity of the next stage of life opens freely and you're not working and scrapping for it. Next question, y'all. Who, if you were going to just name an archetype, please don't say nobody's name. We live on 3 different platforms. Just say an archetype. If you're going to talk about the archetype of a person who you think would benefit from being in our community, what type of person would they be?
Can you give an example?
Yeah, I'm looking at the screen right now. Intelligent, accomplished, maybe a little too smart for their own good. Had the comment on their report card that talks too much. Those type of people, right? Like, what do we know about how this work helps people? And it could be any type of person, but like, what do you think? Or what stage of life, right? If they're going to take this step, what stage of life are they in?
People who would like to be more aware about how they operate. Actually, right when you said, what was the point that you wanted to stop? I was like, well, if she's not checking, I had this whole thing where you should be checking my work, and then that would force me to get it done. And I've been living this very oppressive state in my own head since I was 5.
Yeah. Most of us have.
And this just made the work made me super aware of everything, how I operate, how I talk about things, my listening skills, how I relate with and to other people, to myself, just every little thing. Like if I imagine myself as a house and each each room was a sector of my life. Do I even go in that room? No, I mainly stay in this room. This is the room that I'm mostly concerned about. This is the room that I feel really good in. I don't go in that room because I got to do some work if I go.
Yeah, and for a lot of people, that room is I just stay at work and I just keep climbing the ladder at work. I don't really need to go into my emotional life. I don't need to go into my health and wellness. I don't, I might go into the health and wellness at the gym so people can see me in the company gym so we can build some more rapport. But I don't really care about my health, right? All the things.
Man, this, like, now that I'm even talking after speaking with you today and telling you some epiphanies that I had about myself, it is just like, yeah, what is it called when like you're like walking along and you're like pushing down, but you just go down a little bit, and all of a sudden you drop. I had a drop today. This whole weekend has kind of been a drop, but it's literally only from me meeting myself and meeting my authentic self and saying, oh, wow. It's like looking under the hood of a car. Being like, oh, that's why there's smoke coming out.
Yeah, right.
Oh man, if I could do it again, I would.
We'll wait for you in Life Mastery. Don't worry.
I think the person looking for a magic wand, that was me. That's the person who will benefit greatly from this course because it's not a magic wand. I think I said to you and I thought I'll wake up. I was that person. I came in here 12 weeks from now. It's all going to be figured out. That person who, so the most organized, rigid, I got it done. I did my homework, right? It took me weeks to realize if you don't do it, you don't do it, right? It's for you. It's not for anybody else, which made it more meaningful when that finally clicked in, that it was really for me. I think the moment I realized it wasn't a magic wand was one of those moments I was like, what are you doing? This is not fitting into the paradigm, that kind of works for you every time, all the time. And in terms of stage of life, I think that, any stage it's valuable. For me to be in a stage where I've done so many things and I'm like kind of, oh, what's the next 10, 15, 20 years going to be like? This is a great time, to actually have these thoughts, dig it up, go in the room, all that.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah.
Anyone in a space of being prepared to embrace the unknown and in reflection of self.
Yeah. And Severin, I just want to say, publicly, I am kind of the guide here, but I learn from my clients all the time. I feel like Severin just dropped, every existential pathway that we could take and was just like, and mute. I think anyone who's ready to, deeply know themselves, deal with ambiguity, like everything that the human condition requires you to like really figure out if you're going to go to any next stage of life. Right. Of course. Final thoughts. We don't want to keep y'all here too long because I really appreciate you giving your time to talk about this. But last thoughts of, we talked about the hardest part. What was the best part so far? Because we're still going. What's the best part so far?
So for me, the best part was being in community with other folks. There's this moment when you think, I'm the only one who thinks this. I'm the only one who feels this. I'm the only one that's this stuck or, that's having this thought. And so to hear my own thoughts come out of someone else's mouth, I thought that was amazing. I think that was just really, really impactful for me.
Yeah.
I was going to say, and actually I was going to say earlier, anybody who's been kicked out of therapy like myself, they might be good. One of the things that happened was I reached a point with my therapist. I'm trying to deal with a question, and I said I'm going to be starting this life coaching, vision coaching with someone, and she was like, that actually might be really good because you will be in community. So I think sometimes I can be my own worst enemy, and if I get in my head by myself, but if you have to then talk it through, like we were just hearing, that makes a difference. Mm-hmm. And so I think one of the best parts for me was the retreat. So we had an opportunity to go on the mastermind group, and some other folks who are part of the Steps and Sages community went on a retreat. And to do this in person, to spend a weekend going deep, and then even once you even go back to your room, you're still thinking about it, because that sometimes is the hardest thing for me, is to find the time. So when I was in a space where it was just me and the rest of the group figuring these things out, like that ended up being an amazing time of really going deep and really asking the tough questions, and taking a deep look into the different quadrants of health and wellness, of Vocari and work, and those other ones that we talk about all the time that I can't remember right now. But that was a really great opportunity. And to try something else, we did a sound bath. Like, I've never done a sound bath, especially not in community with other people. So then you have this shared experience that connects you, and also is a memory that you go back to no matter whatever happens going forward. Yeah.
I just want to take more risk. Like, I'm more excited, not anxious, excited to do things that I would have said, oh no, definitely not, no way, no how, I don't even know how that's going to turn out. If I couldn't see it, I wouldn't do it. Till now saying, oh, that's part of my vision. It is a little further than I might want to go, but that's a part of the vision. And I want to.
It's a yes.
It's a yes.
It's a yes. Yeah.
Can I just tap onto that just for a second? When 2 weeks ago when we ended, I was a little panicky. I was like, okay, now what? Is it all going to go away? What's going to happen? And I have to say, the last 2 weeks, I have felt so fabulous. Like, really, I could do this.
Yes.
So to me, that's another super benefit. It's like you say, to think I could take this risk. I could be this person. And that is not what I expected. Again, the old tapes kind of came back in, and I was like, okay, now I'm worried. But it's been a good 2 weeks.
Yeah. Yeah. Congratulations. I love it.
I think for me, those last 2 weeks, I think it's been a couple of months since we finished up Life Mastery. Uh-huh. And I knew even before that, I took time between the Dream Builder before I came in, and having the space to let things metabolize was really helpful. And I would find myself at times in conversation with someone else who was kind of asking questions that I feel like I was asking months ago. And I'm like, and so it's helpful to see resonances, and also maybe ask that question to people who are searching, and also be like, yo, life coaching is great. You should check out Crystal. But also it's really lovely to be in the space with people who are already in the conversation. So it's not about catching somebody up.
Yeah.
It's really good to have people there. And then another thing is the opportunity to be in community, and also working on getting in touch with intuition, spirit, God, whatever you want to call it, but getting in touch with that sacred yes. Mm-hmm. I think I'm still on that journey, but I've gotten to a point where I'm saying no. I've said no to many things, and that has started opening doors that I did not expect, but also because I was able to shape and sculpt the beginnings of a vision so that and to like let my higher self know like what it is so that then together we can fill in the rest.
Awesome. If you are out there and you're like, what is happening in these groups? How do these people come to these epiphanies? Listen, we're going to give you one last option for 2023, and that is to join us on New Year's Eve. Yes, New Year's Eve, right? Everybody, I actually believe that your born day is your personal new year, but because we also believe that nobody changes alone, we're going to host the last virtual vision camp of the year on December 31st, New Year's Eve, from noon to 3 p.m. Eastern Time. You can get your tickets at ssvisioncamp.com, because I know that while the step to join one of these cohorts might feel big to you, it might just bridge the gap if you have your own experience. So we would hope to see you at Vision Camp Virtual, December 31st, noon to 3 Eastern Standard Time. You can jump over to ssvisioncamp.com. There are also VIP tickets available. And if you already know that the next step for you in your new version of transforming your success into being successful at you is about joining a Vision Builder cohort, you could jump over to lifestepsandstages.com and schedule your complimentary vision call. It's the way that we actually make sure that we're a good fit for you. There's no place on our website where you can just click and join. This community is really intentional about bringing visionaries together to support each other. But if you're ready to do that work, we are ready to do the work with you. This is a community, as you can see, of people who want to support each other's growth and who want to hold themselves accountable to doing the work. No one here is going to browbeat you. We don't do accountability that way. Our definition of accountability is sourcing solutions together that make us all grow. So if you're ready, we're ready. And Giselle mentioned some retreats, and we've been thinking about maybe letting all our clients and maybe some client friends into our next retreat at the Art of Living Retreat Center in Boone, North Carolina. It's an Ayurvedic wellness center where you can check in for 3 days, be inspired by me. And some people think it's hard work. Just people complain sometimes at the retreats that I'm a little too intense, but that's what we're there for. Right? You want to be there, right? And all your meals are taken care of. So if you want more information about that, you should also jump over to lifestepsandstages.com in the new year and be ready for the transformation of your life. I hope to see you on New Year's Eve. Corliss, Severin, Giselle, Ayo, thank you so much. Thank you for allowing me to do this work with you. Thanks for showing up tonight. We appreciate you.
Thank you.